going to suffer whatever the consequences are, good or bad.
I don't know. I didn't help you any. I just confused you more.
You know, we all need a few strategies for living, right? So are you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
Ooh, I don't know if I would say I'm ready for my daily dose today. I don't mean to be a bummer or downer.
Yeah?
But I just
well,
want to be honest.
then it will be our job to get you ready, young man.
Ooh, I'd appreciate it. I sure would.
Hey, folks, welcome into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome into this edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillian. He is Jimmie Bryant, Ph.D. That means he produces, he hosts, and he directs. And you know, we've got a room full of people. But before we go to the room full of
full house.
We do have a full house. But before we go to the full house, okay, you said you wanted me to bring you a little excitement.
Oh, yeah.
If you could, just a pick me up or I don't know.
Well, we have a new sponsor.
Really?
Yes, we have a new sponsor here
You're
on
like
Strategies
this,
for Living. And so I think the new sponsor may be of some interest to you.
Oh, you're so good at keeping me in suspense.
Yeah, our new sponsor, and we welcome to the fold, is Prize Fest, a festival of film and food and music and fashion and stand-up comedy. How you like that?
I love that. I think it's a great match. I'm really glad that it happened.
You know, the whole Prize Fest team is amazing. What Gregory Kallenberg and his entire team have done with Prize is phenomenal. And I think I can't wait to have the partnership between Strategies for Living and Prize Fest.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be wonderful.
What
we have
do-
wonderful sponsors. We really do.
Yes, what they do is a pillar of a few of our artistic scenes, and so it's
It's all
huge.
about positive. It's we talk
Absolutely.
about on this program. We talk about bringing the positives to Shreveport, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't get more positive than what's happened with Prize Fest. So we welcome them into the crew, along with all of our other sponsors,
That's right.
which include Pintail Roofing.
We're roof artists at Pintail. Roof.
So that reveals
Roof artists.
that reveals some of who is in the room today, as well as Azalea Cleaners, as well as the Robinson Film Center, as well as Learning RX, as well as Hempress, Cannabis with Love, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, and the Shreveport Little Theater. LPC Carla McCormick and Jay Merle and PLPC Lauren Leon McMillian join us this evening here on Strategies for Living. Hey, guys.
Darn proud to be here.
So
Dan, glad to meet you. Welcome to Delta.
I don't even know what to say. Have any of you heard of the phenomenal book? I don't know how many weeks it has spent on the New York Times bestseller list. It's called The Untethered Soul. Yeah, pass that around the table there, sweetie. It's Michael Singer. He wrote this book, and it's actually been a phenomenal thing. So he followed it up with another book called The Surrender Experiment. Ooh. So I thought we would pull apart some of the themes. We're not going to get to all of them by any means, but pull apart some of the themes this evening on Strategies for Living, because they're things we talk about a lot anyway. Things like who we think we are and who you are, and control and mind and suffering and witnessing your mind, and all about awareness and consciousness, and I'm just scratching the surface. So that's what we're doing this evening here on Strategies for Living.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, good deal. We're all on board, and we will be back in just a moment to dive in to the untethered soul here on Strategies for Living. Stay with us.
The following program is paid for by David McMillian.
Attention business owners, you may qualify for up to $26,000 per W-2 employee from the ERTC Relief Program. At ERTC.com, 75% of the businesses we've helped get funding had no idea they were qualified to receive it. We've set up a free hotline to help businesses discover how much funding they qualify for. Get your free refund estimate in minutes. With our Fast Track program, you could receive funding in as little as 48 hours. ERTC.com uses only real American CPAs and offers a sleep well guarantee. On average, our refunds have been 40% higher than other ERTC firms. Call now to get your refund estimate absolutely free. 800-200-5567. That's 800-200-5567. You'll get the maximum ERTC rebate you're eligible for. But please call now before funding runs out. For your free refund estimate in minutes, call 800-200-5567. 800-200-5567. 800-200-5567.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for a Living. Jimmie, Bryant, David McMillian. You and I are going to have it easy this evening.
I think so.
Because I'm just going to throw the themes out into, we've got Jay Merrill in the room. We've got LPC Carla McCormick in the room. We've got PLPC Lauren Leon McMillian in the room. We're going to let them work this evening.
That's right.
You and I are just going to kind of be like our mind should be. We'll observe.
Okay, I'm just going to say out front, you get what you pay for.
Yeah. Well, okay. Okay. So let me throw out the Untethered Soul, which is Michael Singer's first book, and it's spent about a gazillion weeks on the New York Times bestseller list.
Just a gazillion.
Just a gazillion.
Okay.
And a lot of people talk about it. People are talking about this book the way that when The Power of Now came out, it came out in the early 90s, maybe? Late 80s. Yeah, early in the 90s, I think. Before Eckhart Tolle became Eckhart Tolle, before Oprah. I guess B.O. before Oprah. People began to, the buzz was there, right? And so this book kind of reminds me of the buzz back then. So let me throw out to you guys, we'll all kind of chew on this, but the first three themes of the Untethered Soul. Who we think we are is one of the themes. That we're not our self-concept. In other words, we're not the structure of our thoughts and emotions and beliefs of ourselves in our minds.
Nope.
Okay? Who you are. He says that we have to wake up. We really have to get beyond who we think we are, right?
Right.
That self-concept, the structure of our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs of ourselves and our minds, and understand who we really are. But to do that, we've got to wake up to the nature of self. He says about control, he says we recreate the world within our minds, that world of who we think we are, right? We recreate that world so we can try to control it. and
never works very well.
But we're living, a lot of us live in our minds that way. And what he says is, a lot of it is about, I guess I'm going on and giving about 5 themes, because he goes on and he talks about mind and suffering, and he says, stop expecting our minds to fix what's wrong inside of us. You just said it a minute ago, Jay. Doesn't work very well. No. The more you do it, the more you're like a gerbil on a wheel. It doesn't work. So what he says is, we've got to be willing to witness our mind. The only real solution is to take he calls it the seat of witness. Okay, so he says the only real solution is to take the seat of witness to consciousness and completely change your frame of reference. Now, I'll let y'all chew on that.
Centered consciousness. Isn't that one of his?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Nice job.
I'm cheating.
He's
I'm
got
looking at the cliff
Spark
notes.
He's Googling. He's over
Yeah.
there Googling.
That's okay.
I wanted to sound really smart, so I'll show him.
You are smart, Jay. Bro.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I got you fooled. The presently centered consciousness is the seat of the witness, the seat of self. These practices create moments of centered consciousness. Eventually, you will have persistently centered consciousness. Persistently centered consciousness is the seat of self. Well, let's unpack that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that all sounds great,
I mean,
right?
what do you think,
But
Carla?
what
do
is
you
it?
do
How
that?
do you?
You
Well,
know, I mean,
let's
so
find
how,
out.
How do you do that? Well, first of all, you have to pay attention. I mean, and this is where I start with many clients: is how do you talk to yourself?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what do you say to yourself? You know, when you're alone with yourself, or you know,
Just that concept sometimes can be mind-boggling to clients because, when somebody like you says, we've got an ongoing conversation with ourselves that takes place all the time. How do you talk to yourself?
Right.
And it's like, what?
Like
and then
I have an
But
option in
everybody
that.
does it. Everybody
Yeah.
talks to themselves.
We do, Jay, but do we realize, are we conscious? How conscious are we that ongoing conversation is going on? And once we get conscious of it, doggone it, we go to somebody like Carla and she makes us look at it, and then we realize, geez, I beat the heck out of myself.
What do you say when you talk to yourself, Carla? You ever ask them that question?
all the time. I mean, I even have some clients. I mean, I've had clients before where like, okay, I want you to carry this sheet of paper around with you for the next 24 hours. And every time you think something negatively about yourself or say something negatively about yourself, I want you to make a tally mark. And then at the end of 24 hours, I need you to look at that and see how many times during the day that you do that. Because, for me, let's imagine that we just have like an emotional cup, right? So I'm like, I'm getting up and I'm reading my Bible and I'm doing my devotional and I'm doing all this stuff. But all day long, I am, banging my head and saying, even things like, oh, you're so stupid. Why'd you do that? You idiot.
Yep.
All day long. Well, I mean, I'm punching holes in the bottom of the cup, right? I can't ever fill it up fast enough. And people go, well, I don't know why I don't feel better. I'm trying to think positive. But
I'm doing all the things.
Yeah, I'm doing the things.
Right.
But all day long, I mean, even something like, oh, stupid. Why'd you say that? Those little
35 years ago.
immune, and just all day long, berate.
Right. And it's wearing.
And they've been some studies that say our mind doesn't necessarily know the difference between Lauren calling me stupid or me calling me stupid. It just hears you're stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if our mind is doing that and it's doing it with some repetition, I'm hearing it over and over and over. It's hard not to buy into that. It's hard not to believe that, right?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, and neurologically, you're firing together or you're wiring together.
Ooh.
And so
Now, unpack that for us.
I mean, if you do something enough with repetition, your brain, the saying
neurons
is,
are
the
firing
saying is,
together.
Wiring them
if you
together.
fire them together, then they wire together. So you're creating a pathway in your brain with the neurons, right? And so over time, if you continue to every time I mess up, I say, oh, you're stupid. Well, you're just going to create this path and it just becomes an automatic program, right? And so, but that's where becoming aware of it becomes so powerful.
That's the starting point.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
the
Like,
awareness.
oh,
Yeah.
I have a program in here, but with that awareness, you have to have the awareness that it's been there for 18, 20, 40 years that
Yeah.
you've been doing that.
And, titles and how authors come up with titles are always so interesting to me. And so when we have, as we're talking about this, you can kind of see that almost all of us have our souls, if you define the soul as who we really are, who we truly are, we're tethered. And so what singers, challenging us to do is untie.
Right.
Yeah.
From
Well-
those negative core beliefs and from everything that's keeping you stuck, right?
Right.
Because a tether keeps you stuck.
Absolutely. You're tied down.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Lauren. What were you?
I was going all metaphysical. I was about to go jump off. in
Oh, you
terms.
can jump. I like it when you jump.
Instead of jumping, let me talk to you
Yeah,
about
go.
let me talk to you about experiencing Prize Fest. This is a festival of film, of food, of music, of fashion, of stand-up comedy. It all comes to fruition October the 13th through the 21st. You can see the schedule. You can buy passes right now at prizefest.com.
One of the best shows of the year.
Oh,
One of the
man.
best experiences of the year.
Man, Prize 2023, it's going to be big. Of course, everybody knows Film Prize, the film contest. That runs the 19th through the 21st. And then you've got Food Prize. You've got the local chef cook-off. That's October the 20th. You've got Music Prize, the Discovery Show, October the 13th and 14th. You've got Fashion Prize. You've got the Runway Brunch on October the 15th. You've got the Comedy Prize Stand-Up Night and Saturday, October the 21st, and you've got many more festival events. It is packed. It's so much more than contest. Of course, everybody loves a good contest, but we also love a good festival, and Prize Fest are both of these and so much more.
It's really a celebration
It
of
is.
artists and art in various mediums.
And it's not like anything that you would think would be in Shreveport. I
The-
mean, like
no.
when you go,
Amen.
you think like like this isn't. I would feel like I'm in Dallas or something.
Or maybe
Absolutely.
Burning Man.
Yeah, oh, well, maybe not. Maybe not that.
Hopefully not this year.
Yeah. Mud.
Check. You won't get any mud with Prize Fest, I promise.
Well, we talk a lot about taking pride, and if you want to start to love where you live, you've got to get involved. And
Get
you've
it,
got to
yes.
do these
And there's
kinds of things.
there's no better thing to get involved with than than Prize Fest. It really, and it's coming. It's right on us. Prize 2023. Check it out. Prizefest.com.
A Rottweiler named Whiskey with hours to live brought back to full health. A terrier named Snoopy, paralyzed in all four legs, who ran and played again within months. These dogs are known as Marty's Miracles. Dogs brought back to health by Dr. Marty Goldstein.
I've helped countless dogs thrive with one simple concept. Your dog needs a high-meat diet similar to what their ancestors ate in the wild.
Called the Miracle Worker by Forbes magazine, he's now created a premium dog food for you called Nature's Blend. It's the easiest way to support your dog's easy digestion, nourished skin, playful energy, and most importantly, their healthy, full life. For a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get free premium dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
And welcome back. Welcome back to Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. We're talking about Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul. So the only real solution, he says, is to take what he calls the seat of witness consciousness and completely change your frame of reference. LPC Carla McCormick, PLPC, Lauren Leon McMillian, Jay Merle, and Jimmie Bryant and David McMillian here with you on Strategies. So the root of the self, when he talks about consciousness and awareness, he says the root of the self, that seat of consciousness, you are the conscious being who is aware that you are aware of all inner and outer things. You know, what it reminds me, while the years I was practicing, oftentimes I would ask people to do an exercise where they stepped back and observed their thinking, you know? And once you do that, I mean, most of us live our lives and we think we are our thoughts, right?
But we're not.
But we're not. We're not at all. But we think we are because they're so there.
Right.
Right? And they're so with us all the time. And it's like, okay, well, when you give the idea that you can step back, you can take that mental step back, and you can observe the thoughts, then it calls to mind, okay, well, if I've always thought I was my thoughts. I've always thought I was what I think, those thoughts.
But
so if I'm not that, what am I?
Right. If you can think about your thinking,
then you're outside of them.
Yes.
And then you can change your thinking.
right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And then there is what opens up here is then this marvelous flow, this marvelous flow of it's really spirituality.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Because in recognizing that you're not your thoughts, you're not your body, you're not your mind, you're not your body, you are then therefore what's left?
The witness.
The
Yeah.
witness.
You are that witness, which is, you know, that's a phenomenal thing when you begin to unpack that. You know, that's then you're allowing the spiritual energy,
Right.
and it's called different things in different areas. Ki, chi,
Right.
Shakti. There's a lot of different names culturally all over the world.
For
Universal
what?
life.
For which thoughts? Because you know,
In the Christian
it's
vernacular, it's called the soul. It's called
and also the conscience speaks to us,
right.
And so the conscience, a moral conscience, isn't going to let. I don't know where I'm going here. I'm trying to saw myself off the end of the diving board, but you can.
we won't let you.
You can.
We won't let you. We'll catch you, Jay.
I got a couple life rings here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe.
so a properly informed conscience doesn't generate negative thoughts per se. That's my theory.
Okay.
So we are set. We're not our thoughts, but we are informed. We are informed. We could get all theological here.
Right.
So I don't know if we want to go there, but I believe that we're all imbued with an inner voice, and that inner voice it instructs us on what the next right thing is, and so that has nothing to do, in my opinion, with these automatic negative thoughts that pop up. That's a whole different semi-psychosis, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Carlos got her head shaking, yeah.
Carlos disagreeing here. Okay.
That's okay. It wouldn't be the first time.
It probably won't be the last.
Probably not.
But what a lot of times when we talk about conscience, right? That is a learned thing, right? So what good or bad, right or wrong,
Right.
is kind of a learned thing. You know, like if we talk about just like how babies come, they come with a spirit, and they learn how to love, and they learn how to grow, and they learn, you know, those are things. But when you talk about conscience, oftentimes that's a learned thing.
Yeah,
It's almost a learned container for the
installed beliefs that
Yeah.
we get packed in very early. But now remember, when we're using this term conscious, and I really think that if Singer were here with us, he might come in and say, I'm not really talking about consciousness as much as I'm talking about consciousness.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I believe there's a distinction.
Yes.
In the,
I agree.
Yes.
Okay, thank
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, stop the presses.
There is agreement.
That's beautiful. That's elegant. There's a difference between conscience and consciousness.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's getting to that seat of, it's getting to that, Singer would say, it's getting to that root of the self, that seat of the consciousness, where you are the conscious being who is aware that you are aware of all the inner and outer things. I think it's what, if we bring the Christian perspective into this, I think it's what Jesus was trying to communicate when he said things like, the kingdom of God is within you. And he quoted an Old Testament verse saying, does your scripture not say, ye are gods? And then he also said very clearly, these things that you're seeing me do, you can do, and even greater.
Yeah.
That's where I think from bringing the theological or Christian perspective in, that, that's the challenge. The challenge is to go and tap into that inner energy, that flow of spiritual energy that comes from the depths, the very depths of who we truly are.
And it doesn't send us bad messages of automatic negative thinking about stuff that happened 35 years ago that was stupid.
Absolutely. And if that's going on, then that's an indication.
That's a whole different issue.
Yeah, that I need to visit with Carla or Jay or Lauren.
You need to get in there and unpack the beliefs that are stored in your ego.
Right. And and Singer also talks about staying open. He talks about remaining open enough so that waves of uplifting energy can fill our heart. Once we can get there, the challenge is don't close back up.
Right.
Because that's we live in the world, and it's tempting. I mean, sometimes it's tough, But he talks about the heart. He talks about the natural state of a healthy heart allows energy to flow through for unending inspiration and unending love and unending openness.
Yeah.
And to bring this back, to something in the West that we all know, we see those statues of Jesus, right, with the Sacred Heart, right? Well, it's not the heart itself. It's not the human heart.
No, it's the point of energy.
It's the energy. It's the energetic heart. That's the real challenge.
Well, and I think what you said about staying open, and I think sometimes people don't realize that they are closed.
Yeah.
I have a client that I'm working with, and she's in college, and she's taking a philosophy class. But her family is kind of giving her grief about, like, well, what about your Christianity, and is this, and in their mind she's going to be filled with all these ideas that go against their belief system, and they're scared.
Right.
And so we had a conversation about that, like opening up your mind to learn how other people think, feel, other ideas can never be bad.
No.
But and that's where you have to be open enough to look at things and go, okay, that works for me, that fits, that doesn't, this works.
Critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
But you have to be, there's a lot of highly intelligent people who don't have the ability to open their mind to things that make their head kind of go tilt, just to learn more about themselves. Because if I learn what I don't believe, and if I learn like why that doesn't work for me, I'm still learning, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Jay's heard me tell this story before. Both of us were lucky enough to get an education at Jesuit High School, now Loyola, but back in our day it was Jesuit High School. and there was a wonderful priest there back in our day, Father John Welsh.
Yeah.
Right?
Drac.
And he taught senior theology. And I'll never forget, in our theology class, we never once talked about Catholicism or even Christianity. During our entire senior year, we studied Buddhism, we studied Taoism, we studied
pantheism.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Everything. And I remember a kid saying, "Father, what's the deal?" And his response, and I won't get it exactly right, but it was brilliant. He said, if we're a Christian school, we're a Catholic school, and if there's truth to Christianity, if there's truth to Catholicism, then you need to know what else is out there. Because you can never really understand and measure unless you're willing to study all of it.
Yes, he did.
And it was just a beautiful, we
were lucky.
That's almost been 50 years ago for me.
It's more than 50 for
and
me.
more than 50 for you.
He was a wonderful man.
Yeah, totally.
Didn't like him at the time, but
you can appreciate him looking back.
I was a mouthy kid.
Look in the book, Merle.
Look
it's
in
in
the
the book. Let me talk to you about another great thing about Shreveport, Bossier City. Of course, I'm talking about the Robinson Film Center, 15 years old, robinsonfilmcenter.org. There is absolutely no place like the Robinson. Abby Singer's Bistro, full-service bistro and bar on the second floor. You can join the crowd. You can join the fun. You need to become a member because there's always something new going on at the Robinson. Become a member, get discounts on movies, get concession upgrades, get bistro deals. Find out what's showing right now at robinsonfilmcenter.org. RFC 617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport, robinsonfilmcenter.org. And welcome back into Strategies for Living. LPC Carla McCormick, PLPC Lauren Leon McMillian, Jay Merle, Jimmie Bryant, David McMillian. What's going on up on the roof? Anything
on the
new?
Roof? Yeah, we're doing some commercial work. We just finished Roach Plumbing out on the Greenwood Road. Got a call from Lewis Roach, and we went out there, and I showed him what we could do for his aging metal roof and extended its life out about 20 years.
Hey,
you know what it costs to put a new metal roof on? I mean,
a bunch of money.
Yeah, a whole bunch.
So, he was happy then.
We did it for about a third of what it would have cost to replace that roof.
Wow. If anybody listening wants a wonderful roofer and you want them to come out and take a look, and they'll do that for free, call Pintail.
Call us, 226-ROOF.
All right, there you go. We're talking about a fantastic book. It's been out for a while. It's called The Untethered Soul. Michael Singer. Singer talks about he talks about liberation. Liberation he talks about as a commitment to the inner work. It's getting committed. It's freeing yourself he talks about freeing yourself by finding yourself.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
By making a commitment.
By making that commitment. I mean, and then it's an ongoing, liberation is an ongoing process that we have to commit to, right?
Well, if we're to believe that the kingdom is within and that it truly all is within.
Good point.
I mean, that's the only way you can go to become free.
Good point. He talks about letting go, about deep inner release being a spiritual path in and of itself. So we're constantly letting go in order, and we're getting a permanent peace, a permanent joy, a permanent happiness in exchange for those temporary things our ego gets us, right?
A few weeks ago we talked about radical acceptance.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, when you practice radical acceptance, I think that's the umbrella that all of this fits under, right? Accepting, the way things are, accepting people where they are, accepting, yourself, and all of those things. I don't think you can go anywhere in any of these directions that we're talking about without acceptance.
Yeah.
No.
So in the recovery community, in one particular group, acceptance is the answer to all your difficulties. When you find some person, place, or thing unacceptable, you need to understand it's exactly the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you just accept it.
Yeah.
And it sounds easy, but gosh, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Well, kind of what Lauren was talking about earlier, once those neural the brain's not a muscle, right? But if we think about any time we're learning to do something new, if we're learning to go play golf, right? In the beginning, it's really hard, and it takes a lot of repetition. It takes a lot of practice. So, even changing your mindset, your negative self-talk, all of those things take a lot of practice. It's not gonna be something that you do overnight. Right. And I think what he's saying is you have to dedicate yourself to do it. You're not going to go to therapy once. You're not going to read one book. You're not going to, just have this.
It's what our ego wants, though. We want the magic. We want the pill.
Yeah.
Just doc.
But here's the good news, though. Like the way the brain works, plasticity, and the way we work, it is a lot of work on the front end. You have to continually, correct, become aware, and then redirect and recorrect yourself. But then you'll wake up one day, a couple months or a year later, and you realize, oh, I just said something really nice to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was automatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the magic.
Yeah.
That's when it happens, is when it becomes a habit.
Right.
It becomes a new pattern.
Yeah.
It does take some work.
It takes some work and some commitment. But Singer talks about a couple of things. He talks about centeredness, and he talks about persistently centered consciousness is that seat of the witness, the seat of that's who we really are. Yeah. It reminds me of another author, Gary Zukav.
The seat of the
soul.
The
seat of the soul. Yeah. He reminds me of that. Yeah. Singer also talks about the middle way, where the energies are balanced, where everything comes together, where you get filled with energy by that middle way. That we could probably do a whole show unpacking that. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, you got to get the book. Okay. You got to read the book. But he talks about unconditional happiness. He says if you decide that you're gonna be happy, you're not only gonna be happy. You will not only be happy, you'll also become enlightened.
Yeah. Well, because the easiest way to enlightenment is to lighten up.
Yeah, to lighten up.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh, play
Can I
words.
use that?
Yes.
Yeah,
It
I'm
wasn't
stealing
mine
it. I'm
originally,
stealing
so
it.
that's one of my favorites.
But to go back to something that Jay said, and to to hook that together,
Yeah.
it's easy to say,
Yeah.
but it may not be so easy to do
Well, and it's
in the reality
and
of the
really,
world.
The hardest part is the awareness.
Yeah.
Okay, is, realizing in the moment that, oh, I'm not feeling, some type of way. And then just with that awareness, you can say, well, this really need not be. It really doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
How can I accept whatever this is, or how can I look at it a different way to increase my own joy?
Right.
Reframe it.
Yeah.
How can I change the way I feel?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or how can I let the feeling go through me? I don't have to hold on to it, right?
Right. You just like let it come and let it go.
Yeah.
Like water.
And so Singer, and this is where I think this is where he gets to, and this is probably a little over midway through the book, where he begins to talk about, he shifts into, all of this is spiritual in nature, but he really shifts into talking about spiritual growth. In other words, the path of using life itself to evolve spiritually.
Well, that's what it's here for, right?
Yeah. But that comes back to, again, something Jay said about acceptance, and you said about radical,
How to use life, David.
how to use life.
How do you use life,
Well,
David?
you first see it as LIFE, limitless information experience.
Okay.
Or experiment.
Or experiment.
Yeah.
You see it for what it is,
Okay.
that it's
Yeah.
just an experience for you to learn from.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be good or bad or right or wrong or ugly or pretty. It just is. And what do you want that to mean for you? How can you use this experience to grow your soul?
Yeah. What if God knew something that we didn't know? What if God knew that, and of course we really get into this thing called fear, right?
Yeah, well,
We
yeah,
really
but
get
it's-
fearful. But what
it's
if
for
God
entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, what if God knew there's no reason to be afraid? There's never even any reason to worry because I got you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like kids playing on a playground, right? So in a playground, little Jay and little Carla are out there playing, and Mom Lauren is watching. Mom Lauren doesn't go nuts when little Carla takes her 6-gun out and shoots little Jay, and she says, "You're dead."
Bang!
Little Jay down playing dead.
I really did a good job too.
Mom
I'm sure
Lauren
he did.
doesn't go freak out because what does she know? They're
You're
just
safe.
they're just playing.
Pretend.
And
They're
they're
having
safe.
fun. They're in this big sandbox and they can't be hurt. What if God, from the God perspective, what if God sees us that way and knows no matter what you get into, you can't get hurt?
I mean,
What if?
It's
There-
all going to be okay.
Yeah.
There's inherent safeguards in it. I mean, it's limitless. It continues on. And so, why not just learn from it?
Learn from it.
Go along the way.
Well, Ben, I don't think you can do that unless you quit judging it as good or bad, right
Yes,
or wrong.
you got to
Agreed.
get out of the
Agreed,
duality.
agreed,
Yep.
agreed.
As long as we're stuck in that world of duality, the world of right, wrong, good, bad, black, white.
I'm going to take a pause on that. I agree. But I think that's another experience in and of itself that we come to have. Because we cannot know the full expansion and freedom of the gray, of what you're talking about, the
Right.
expanded without having come down into form and to experience and to pretend that we're in duality. Does that make sense?
So you're saying until we experience duality, we can't back away from it because we can't know what it's like unless we experience.
You can't transcend what
Yeah.
you don't what you don't first
now we're
know.
getting deep.
That's pretty deep. That's pretty. I like that.
I mean, I like to think of it's like the infinity symbol, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we go out and we separate and we become, form.
Right.
And then eventually we come back together and realize that really we're all here all the time anyway. But we can't know that without the duality of it all.
I agree with that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Define duality for those of us that you mean the separation of we're not our thoughts. Is that the duality you're talking about?
Well, the duality would be the right, in the
Right,
world.
wrong, black,
There's a
white.
black and a white. There's a good and a bad. There's a right and a wrong. There's a
Okay.
we live in a world that's set up
Yeah.
as for
Positive,
duality.
negative.
Right.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
And the truth is we need them both.
Yeah.
That was in the Tao,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it
It's
goes
the
on and
it's
on
the
and on.
integration.
Yeah.
You can't have positive without negative.
Without negative. Yeah, Jimmie, I don't know about you, but sometimes listening to these guys, it's like my mind goes.
Yeah,
I just need to take a break.
I'll
Don't
go
you?
home and make a nice cup of tea and just
Yeah.
relax for a little while.
Or we could go to the theater.
Oh, that's so much better.
You know
idea.
what?
Yes.
Lauren and I
Yes.
saw at Shreveport Little Theater. We saw Always Patsy Cline Saturday night.
How was it?
Phenomenal.
Wonderful. It was incredible.
Lauren, she's a little bit younger than I am. So she didn't know,
little.
just a little bit. So she didn't know
I
all of
didn't
these
know all the
Patsy
songs.
Cline
I
songs,
didn't.
right? Doesn't matter.
I knew a couple.
No. It was phenomenal. It was absolutely
I
phenomenal.
mean, the fact that it's a 2-woman show.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
fantastic. Look, folks, you still have time. Of course, it's already started. I think they may end up adding some extra performances. I don't know.
But you still got a few chances.
But you've got some chances. ShreveportLittleTheater.com is where you go for tickets. ShreveportLittleTheater.com. While you're there, think about the 23-24 season, My Way, the music of Sinatra in October and November. The Wonderettes are back in December with one of the stars of Always Patsy
Right,
Cline,
yes.
coming in as one of the Wonderettes.
She's a fabulous singer.
5 women wearing the same dress, then Dial M for Murder, and then how could you plan any better
couldn't.
than to finish Shreveport Little Theater's season with Jimmy Buffett's Escape to
That'll
Margaritaville.
be a special show.
It is going to be
Isn't that
very,
They were
very
prescient.
special. There you go. Go get your tickets right now. ShreveportLittleTheater.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy Lamell, a physician with Blue Cross, here with a health note. Heart disease can sneak up on you. Have at least one checkup a year so your doctor can look at your blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol numbers. Catching issues early can make all the difference.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password, for you to become a victim. LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
The previous program was paid for by David McMillian.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for a Living. Jimmie Bryant, David McMillian. Had you heard of this book Jimmie, that we're talking about this evening, the untethered soul. Had you heard of Michael Singer? Had you heard about it before?
No.
Yeah. So, are we stirring your curiosity?
Absolutely.
Stirring your interest?
I mean, from the beginning of the show, you had me.
All right.
Jimmie's teachable. I've observed that.
There you
over
go.
time.
So, and I would tell you, listeners out here who have read Eckhart Tolle, he's not as woo-woo as Eckhart. It's a little easier read.
He's more. I
I
actually found Power of Now. This is just me. I found it tough, but I loved when Eckhart came out with his second book, book that A New Earth.
Yeah.
I thought that was phenomenal.
Right.
But Michael Singer and the Untethered Soul is certainly worth the read. Let me get in that he talks about the spiritual growth, the path. Basically, it's the path of using life to evolve spiritually. That's the highest path. And then going beyond. He talks about the word beyond captures the meaning of spirituality. It's pushing the self, freeing your infinite soul from its cage, from its tethering, right?
Right.
Letting it free. And the highest spiritual path, he says, is life itself. Life itself. If you know how to live daily, it all becomes liberating, freeing.
Yeah, well,
you know?
because once you recognize that you're really not tethered, you're not contained
Right.
to the body.
Yep.
You know, in fact, I think most of you is out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Expanded.
He also says if you want to be close to God, to, that eternal, to the conscious bliss, then we have to do something.
Be quiet.
Well, he says we have to learn to live joyfully.
Okay.
Yeah. He says if you really want to be close to God, you've got to learn to be joyful. And that death is the best teacher. The best teacher of life, he says, is death.
Yes.
It's what gives life meaning is the willingness to live it. If you are fully living, death doesn't take anything from you.
No.
You know?
It's just another door.
It's just another door you're walking through, right?
Because you can't be joyful and fearful at the same time.
No, impossible.
That's a good point.
Impossible. Carla, thank you.
This
Jay,
was fun.
thank
It
you.
was fun.
And Lauren, thank you.
Thank you, as always.
Jimmie, thank you.
Pleasure as always.
If you want more info, Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul. Folks, thank you for tuning into Strategies for Living. We have been brought to you by Pintail Roofing.
Roof.
We've been brought to you by Prize Fest. We've been brought to you by Azalea Cleaners, by the Robinson Film Center, by Learning Rx, by Hempress, Cannabis with Love, and by the Shreveport Little Theater. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Jay Merrill, for Carla McCormick, for Lauren Leon McMillian, for Jimmie Bryant, I'm David McMillian. See you next time here on Strategies for Living.